is Taylor, and I'm the Tempest Witch here on YouTube. Of course, we're in a little bit of a different location today. We are currently at the Schmeekley Wildlife Reserve in Stevens Point. It's a drive out here just as a change of the scenery. Figure it's winter. We might as well talk about the goddess Skadi. The goddess Skadi is not of the Aesir and the Vanir, but actually she's a Jotun, which means she's a giant, an ice giant specifically. And how she came to be a goddess is a tragic and also hilarious story. The Jotuns and the Aesir and the Vanir are viewed as two different races of creatures, but rather they're two conflicting families in different spaces. So they have wars a lot, just like all of the other worlds in the Nine Realm. But the Jotuns and the Aesir and the Vanir were in war. And somewhere in there, the Aesir killed off Thiazi, which was a Jotun. Thiazi had a daughter named Skadi, which is who we're talking about today. Now, the Jotuns are very brutal creatures. They are named after violence and terror and horrific weather events. So Skadi, if you translate it to English, is actually like scathe or to injure. So her name is a threat. Skadi comes to the Hall of Asgard and she's battle ready, but the Asgardians have a rule specifically that they will not spill blood in their halls, so they will not fight her. So as payment, they said that they will let her marry one of them as compensation for killing her father. So, being a little tricky, as the gods often are, and they're not very straightforward, they all line up behind a curtain and tell Skadi if she wants to marry one of them, she has to pick them by their feet. So they all line up behind a curtain and she picks who she believes is Balder. So she thinks she picks Balder because he has the most beautiful, clean feet. But it's actually Njord, god of the sea, because he spends so much time in the water, his feet are clean. So she's been tricked, but that's who she chose, and so they get married. She said that if one of the gods was able to make her laugh, all would be forgiven about her father. So that's the funny part of this story. Loki, as the trickster god, usually having to pay penance for terrible crimes and the faults of the other gods, is the one who has to make her laugh. So he ties a string to his own testicles and puts the other end on a goat, which pulls until he's in agony and ends up screeching on her lap, which makes her laugh because the Jotuns love violence and that seemed hilarious to her. So, but all is not well with Njord and Skadi's marriage, because Njord is from the sea. He craves the call of the gulls and the movement of the ocean, whereas Skadi craves the howling of the wolves and the iciness of the mountains. They cannot cohabit because they're both miserable in each other's places, so they end up getting a divorce. Skadi, though she is very much a lesser character in the Poetic Eddas and all of the other mythologies, very important, and I feel like the only reason she's more forgotten, she's the personification of winter, and people tend to have weird relationships with the season. Just think about it. When winter comes, people bury into their homes and they don't come out to explore the beauty of this season. I mean, look at this. If you're not from the north, I can understand why winter, being the colder months, doesn't have the allure of the white snow or the deafening silence after a snowfall. but it's just as beautiful as every other season, and it's very much forgotten. Now, the reason I think that winter and Skadi being the personification of winter is very important is because winter is always shunned as the worst time of the year, which I don't agree with. Winter has its own kind of beauty. Winter forces us to appreciate when the sun comes back. Winter forces us to be inside and spend time with our families. Winter forces us to see the good in the little things so that we can get through to the other side. Winter is about survival. Winter is about achieving warmth and maintaining warmth. Winter is just as important as the other seasons, just like Skadi is just as important as the other gods. The calm and quiet of winter is just as important as every other season's beauty. And we would be better for it if we appreciated Skadi and this season like we do the others. So, a few other things that you can talk about Skadi or consider when thinking about Skadi is how to connect with her, how to honor this season. So, in addition to being the goddess of winter and the mountains and the cold, she is also the goddess of the wilderness, the wilds that exist right outside our doors. So, being a Jotun, she's not the partier type. She doesn't hang out in Asgard. She's very much a solitary creature. So, one of the best ways you can connect to her is by going out into the wilds of the wilderness and just sitting with yourself, understanding that even though we have modern conveniences and modern architecture, we are still part of this beautiful wilderness. And as a society, as humanity, I feel like we would be better for it if we took the time to appreciate and connect to the world that we are a part of, instead of pretending that we are outside of it or better than it. Because in reality, in the end, we all go into the ground. We will all be returned back to the earth. So we might as well have a good relationship with it beforehand. Well, I hope you liked this video. It's always fun to walk around outside no matter the season and get that brisk, cool winter air in your lungs and just appreciate nature and the wilderness for what it is. So, if you liked this video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do any of those things, but until next time, Skål.